Welcome to the chemistry class. Today is the day 5, fifth day of myself transacting the lesson classification of elements and periodicity in properties. This chapter is chapter 3 of the class 11 syllabus ISC. Now, my dear boys, in my previous class, I remember I was talking about the factors on which the variation, okay, of the ionization potential, IP, ionization enthalpy depends. This is what I had done I was trying to do in the previous class, factors on which ionization energy depends. And I had explained you regarding the first factor, that is the size of the atom, the second factor, that is the nuclear charge, then the screening effect, the shielding effect. And today, and also I had explained you the penetration effect of electrons. Electrons present in the s orbital, they penetrate more deeply and are found closer towards the nucleus. That means they are attracted more strongly by the nucleus. Okay, so the highest penetration effect is exhibited by the electrons present in the s subshells or the s orbitals. That was the fourth factor which I discussed, which affect the ionization enthalpy or the ionization energy. Now, the next factor is electronic configuration. The next factor is electronic configuration of elements. Electronic configuration of elements. Now, under this electronic configuration of elements, please keep in mind that elements which possess less tendency to lose the valence electrons, they will have high values of ionization enthalpies, like the noble gases. Or the inert elements, they have a less tendency to lose their valence electrons, and that is why they have high values of ionization energy. The reason is they have completely filled shells and subshells. They have completely filled shells and subshells. So these are the five factors on which ionization enthalpy depends. So you have to remember this. I have summarized it over here. Little bit about penetration and shielding effect of an electron. Okay. Now, this slide which you see on the screen, I have tried to explain this penetration and shielding effect in the previous class. So it is just written systematically over there. In a multi-electron atom, the penetration and shielding of an electron, where in a multi-electron atom, an atom containing a lot of electrons in various subshells or shells or orbitals, with regard to penetration of an electron, greater the penetration, there is more chance of electrons being located very close to the nucleus. So, greater the penetration means there are more and more subshells, s subshells. Now, if we compare the s, p, d or f orbitals within the same shell or principal quantum number, we will find that penetration of an electrons are in the order s is greater than p is greater than d is greater than f. Okay, so the s subshells, the s orbitals, they have the highest penetration effect. In other language, we can say that the electrons present in the s subshell, they are more penetrating and they are found closer to the nucleus, because of which they are attracted strongly by the nucleus, and it is difficult to remove such electrons which are present in the s orbital. Nextly, regarding to shielding power of an electron, shields of an other electrons depends penetration and the orbital type. Shielding power of electron in orbitals of the same cell are again in the same order over here. S orbitals, they shield the electrons more than the p or the d or the f. Okay, so This has been explained in two different ways over here with regard to penetration and shielding of electron in always multi-electron system. Then coming back to the summarized factors affecting ionization enthalpy, delta Hi. It is delta H over here I subscript. The first one is size of the atom. So I have summarized it. Ionization energy decreases as the size of the atom increases. Nuclear charge. Ionization energy increases with increase in the nuclear charge. Third one, the type of the electron. Shielding effect is there, penetration effect is there. If the type of electron is S electron, then the shielding effect as well as the penetration effect will be high. That is called the type of the electron. And finally, the electronic configuration example, noble gases passes, they possess, not passes, they possess, Poessess, possess very high value of ionization energy due to stable octet electronic configuration. So these are the summarized factors which affect the ionization enthalpy in the periodic table. Properties from top to bottom and from left to right across the period. Again the same thing summarized over here. Factors affecting ionization energy, nuclear charge, okay, shielding, are there inner electrons that are repelling the outermost electrons, or distance, how far is the electron from the nucleus. So this is also one form of the summarized factors affecting ionization energy. Then there is a graphical representation of the variation of ionization energies of the first 20 elements. On the y-axis you will find the ionization energy in kilojoules per mole. On the x-axis you will find the nuclear charges, the corresponding nuclear charges. If you look at the elements of the first group, that is hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, they are present at the bottom. They are present towards the bottom in this graph. Okay, nuclear charge versus ionized energy. But if you look at the noble gases, you'll find the noble gases here: helium, then there is neon, then argon, then there will be somewhere krypton, xenon, radon. Okay, then if you look at this element, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, these elements are the elements present in the period, in the second period. Here again we have elements in the third period. So this is just a graphical illustration of the comparison of ionization energies of the first 20 elements with respect to their nuclear charges or the atomic numbers. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir,
Yeah.
what is the standard unit for sir ionization enthalpy?
The standard it
Or
is kilojoules per mole.
so not electron volts?
We can write electron volts also, but electron volts again it will be a lower value than this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we always take it in kilojoules per mole. We can use electron volts also. Okay, but today in class 11, since we'll be learning the chapter chemical thermodynamics, okay, and chemical equilibria, where in chemistry we normally use kilojoules per mole quantity. No? We are interested in the quantity in 1 mole of a given particular element. Okay, what is the amount that is required to remove an electron? So that always turns out in kilojoules. Okay, are you getting it? Because you can see the values, it is 400, 800,
Yes, sir.
1200, 1600, 2000 and 2400. So it's that's the best standard unit which can be used to represent the what we call ionization energy in kilojoules per mole. Am I clear? I can remember in class 10
Yes, sir.
I was talking about ionization enthalpy in electron volts. That is also permissible, but those are the basic units. But the more important standard units are kilojoules per mole in case of either it is ionization enthalpy or electron affinity or other units with regard to this what we call subatomic particles. Okay, and electrons. Now, I think this is clear till here now, boys. Okay, now let us move to the next slide. Okay, let us move to the next slide, which is called electron gain enthalpy. Now, before moving to electron gain enthalpy, I just want to come back to one more thing, and ask you a question. Ask you a question. Uh, the question is, have you heard of the word isoelectronic? Isoelectronic.
Yes.
Have you heard of this word
No,
isoelectronic?
no, sir.
Now just try to break this word into two parts. Isoelectronic. Can you give a guess? What is this word isoelectronic mean?
It's having same number of electrons.
Exactly, correct. Isoelectronic means having the same number of electrons. Now here, in some of the years of the ISC class 11 question paper, which has been sent by the council, okay, and in the competitive examination also, the joint entrance examination or the NEET examinations, I have seen some questions with regard to this word isoelectronic, and the question was like this, okay, uh, arrange, arrange, arrange the following isoelectronic ions. Are you getting it? Arrange the following isoelectronic ions in the decreasing order. Decreasing order of ionic radii. Look at this question. This is the part of the question. Arrange the following isoelectronic ions in the decreasing order of the ionic radii. And the ions I'm writing over there. The ions can be, say, uh, oxide, it can be nitrite. This is all isoelectronic. It can be sodium Na plus. It can be fluoride F minus 1. It can be magnesium Mg plus 2. It can be aluminum. So all this, if you look at all this, no, these are all isoelectronic ions. Isoelectronic ions are those ions which have the same number of electrons but different nuclear charges. So we are supposed to arrange these isoelectronic ions in the decreasing order of ionic radii. Decreasing order of ionic radii. That means from big size to small size. From big size to small size. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Did you get the question, my dear boys? We know, if you look at these ions very carefully and go back to these ions, their atoms in the periodic table. In the periodic table. Look at them. They belong to a particular period in the periodic table, no? Do they? Like, for example, oxygen.
Yes, sir.
Oxygen is their atom. Nitrogen, their atom. Sodium, metallic atom. Fluorine, non-metallic atom. Magnesium, metallic atom. Aluminium, metallic atom. Now they belong to which period of the periodic table? Just have a look. Which period? Which period? Oxygen belongs to which period? Oxygen belongs to 2. Correct.
2
It belongs to period 2. Nitrogen?
Sir, second period.
Nitrogen also second period. Are you sure? What
Yes,
is called?
sir.
Sodium?
Third.
Sodium is third. Very good. Fluorine? Second. Magnesium?
Second.
Magnesium?
So both third.
Magnesium third.
Third.
Magnesium third. Aluminum also third. Okay.
Third.
Now, these are the elements belong to the second and the third period of the periodic table. Now, from these elements, atoms of these elements, they are producing ions. To produce, to produce, to produce oxide ion, it has to gain 2 electrons. No? After gaining 2 electrons, its size is going to become bigger. Its size is going to become bigger. No? Are you getting it? So if you look at oxygen, atom and its oxygen ion, that is oxide ion, after gaining electron, the size will become bigger. Nitrogen also, the non-metallic ion, after gaining 3 electrons, size becomes bigger. Again, sodium after losing electron becomes smaller. So here you can see the size of oxide is bigger. The size of nitrate is also bigger. Sodium cation is smaller. Fluoride is bigger. Okay. Magnesium is smaller. Magnesium ion is smaller. Aluminum ion is also smaller. So this is what we can compare. Now, if you compare the sizes of these atoms over here, the biggest size is sodium. After sodium, definitely there will be magnesium. Then there will be aluminum atom. Okay. After aluminum, then we can have, say, oxygen. Then we can have nitrogen. Then we can have fluorine. This is the order of the size, decreasing size of the atoms: sodium, magnesium, aluminum, oxygen, fluorine. So even the ions, if you compare the ions, let us go to the next slide. I'll introduce one slide. We will find that if you arrange them in the correct order, the biggest size will be possessed now by not sodium anymore. It will be possessed by nitrogen ion. Then after nitrogen, it will be oxide ion. Then it will be fluoride. Then comes the metallic ion, that is sodium. Then comes magnesium. Then comes aluminum. So this is how you arrange the size. The size of the ions is arranged in the decreasing order this way. If you look at the previous slide, it was quite different. It was quite different. Now between nitrogen and fluorine, fluorine it needs only one electron, but nitrogen is needing three electrons, and oxygen is needing 2 electrons. If you compare their sizes now, we are having nitrogen coming first, then oxygen, then fluoride ion, then sodium, magnesium, aluminum. See, maximum number of electrons 2 it has received, biggest size. Then oxygen, then fluorine, 1 electron lost, 2 electron lost, 3 electron lost. So among 1 electron lost, 2 electron lost, and 3 electron lost, the one which is losing only 1 electron will have the biggest size among these three. And over here, 3 electron gained, 2 electron gained, and 1 electron gained. If you compare these ions, the negative ions, the non-metallic ions, the one which has gained the maximum number of electrons will have the biggest size. This is to be noted. In the case of metallic ions, the one which has lost the least number of electrons will have the biggest size. So comparatively, you can arrange them in this order. So this is the correct order of the decreasing order of the ionic radii of the given ions. Okay, so this is one possible question which can be asked. It is a concept based question. So it will be there on your screen. It will be sent in the PDF article, the PowerPoint slide also. So please go through this and try to research yourself also for the answer. Okay, so now let us move further in this chapter. To the next topic, that is electron gain enthalpy. Now somebody can tell me what is electron gain enthalpy? Somebody can tell me what is electron gain enthalpy? Can you tell me?
Energy required to gain an electron.
Energy required. No, not energy required. You cannot say, you're not correct. You're not wrong.
Energy lost.
Energy.
So energy lost.
Yeah, energy which is given out. Don't say energy lost. Energy which is given out. Energy which is given out when an electron is added to a neutral gaseous atom to convert it into a negative ion. Okay, that is called electron gain enthalpy. So the symbol for electron gain enthalpy is delta H Eg. If I write delta Hi, what does this mean? What does this mean? If I write delta H I, small I over here, what does this mean? Symbol for what? What is this meaning of this? This is symbol for what? It is symbol of
Ionization.
ionization. It is the symbol for ionization enthalpy. Okay. Ionization enthalpy, it is the amount of energy required to remove an electron. But electron gain enthalpy, it is the amount of energy which is liberated when an electron is added to a neutral gaseous atom to convert it into a negative ion. Okay, so that is called electron gain enthalpy. Now, this electron gain enthalpy provides a measure of the ease with which an atom adds an electron to form an ion as represented by the equation given below. That is the ease. Electron gain enthalpy, it is the measurement. It is the measurement of the ease, the comfortably adding of an electron to form an anion. Okay, that is called electron gain enthalpy. Now, looking at the next slide over there, with regard to electron gain enthalpy, these are some questions which you must have seen in the previous years in class 10. Explain why electron gain enthalpy of oxygen is less than that of sulfur. Oxygen, if you see, it has how many electrons in its valence shell? Oxygen. How many electrons oxygen in the valence shell? Oxygen and sulfur.
6.
It has 6 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sulfur has how many electrons in the valence shell? Sulfur also 6. Now, with regard to their atomic sizes between oxygen and sulfur, which one has a bigger size? Which one has a bigger size?
Sulfur.
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 Sulfur has a bigger size, and whose nuclear charge is more?
Sulfur.
Yes, very good.
Sulfur.
Nuclear charge of sulfur is more. So that's why if you try to add an electron to sulfur, definitely it is going to give away more energy. That's why it is told over here. Explain why electron gain enthalpy of oxygen is less than that of sulfur. That is, I think you are getting the answer in your mind already. Because the size of oxygen is smaller. Size of sulfur is more. Oxygen nuclear charge is less. Sulfur nuclear charge is more. So on this basis, we can give the reasoning. The electron gain enthalpy of oxygen or fluorine is less than that. See, at once in one shot only. The electron gain enthalpy of oxygen or fluorine is less than that. This is a very, very important question, concept-based question. Less than that of the succeeding element, because when an electron is added to oxygen or fluorine, the added electron goes to the smaller n, that is n is equal to 2 quantum number. The value of principal quantum number for oxygen and fluorine is 2, whereas for sulfur it is 3. It is 3 and suffers significant repulsion. So when the electron goes to 2 principal quantum number, it suffers repulsion from the other electrons already present in this level. But for the n is equal to 3 quantum number, that is for sulfur or chlorine, the added electron occupies a larger region, because as soon as you are talking about principal quantum number 3, the space is more, so repulsion is less. That is why in the case of fluorine and chlorine, in the case of what you call sulfur and chlorine, the electron repulsion is much less, because of which the electron gain enthalpy becomes higher. Okay, so this is one important point you have to keep in mind. Okay, this was a very important question with regard to oxygen and fluorine having lesser electron gain enthalpy than sulfur and chlorine. Okay, so this is one question, please keep in mind. Moving, look at the side over there. The electron gain enthalpy across the period, it is increasing, keep this in mind, and the electron gain enthalpy down the group, it is decreasing. Okay, this is something which you already know. Now, looking at the next slide, the factors affecting electron gain enthalpy, ENC. With increase in ENC, the force of the force of attraction exerted by the nucleus of the electron increases. Consequently, the atom has greater tendency to attract additional electrons. So when the atomic number of the element increases across the period, the force of attraction exerted by the nucleus also increases. Consequently, the atom has a greater tendency to attract additional electron, that is, its electron gain enthalpy becomes more negative. It has a more and more negative value, it has a higher value. Okay, then the next factor is atomic size. With increase in the size, with decrease in size, if the size of an atom is smaller, the ENC, the effective nuclear charge, ENC means effective nuclear charge. It is effective nuclear charge. Okay, to decrease in the size, effective nuclear charge increases and hence electron gain enthalpy increases. This is the second factor. The third one, importantly, the value of electron gain enthalpy depends effectively upon electronic configuration of elements. That is very, very important. If the elements are having stable octet electronic configuration, definitely elements with stable electronic configuration possess lower or less negative. Lower means less negative value of electron gain enthalpy. Okay, so examples I'll not give you, like I am talking about the noble gases. Okay, then moving to the next slide again in detail with regard to electron gain enthalpy, the nuclear charge, effective nuclear charge. Okay, as the nuclear charge increases, the value of electron gain enthalpy becomes more and more negative. The increase in nuclear charge helps in the addition of electron to the atom. Very true. Atomic size, as the distance of electron from the nucleus increases, the nuclear force of attraction on the electron decreases. As a result, it becomes difficult to add electron to the atom and the value of electron gain enthalpy becomes smaller, it becomes less negative. Then the electronic configuration. An atom which possesses completely filled or half filled orbitals, they are stable. They have stable configuration, have low or very low or almost no tendency to accept electrons. Consequently, the value of electron gain enthalpy is highly positive in this case. Okay, so these are the factors, important factors to be remembered for electron gain enthalpy. Coming to the graphical representation on the next slide, if you look at the graphical representation on the screen over there, it is a graph which is plotted against atomic number for electron affinity in kilojoules per mole. So if you see some elements, what you call electron gain enthalpy values are plotted on this graph. Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Okay, this is fluorine, and then there is neon. Okay, so there is a trend. It is coming down, going up. Okay, because the inner subshells are getting filled complete. Like if you talk about hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, 1, 2, 3, 4, beryllium 1s2, 2s2. This is complete. This is also complete. So that's why beryllium it is lower. If you go to boron, it becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. This is complete, but this is not complete. No, that's why it is higher. If you go to carbon, it becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p. It has to be carbon is 6, no, so 2p2. This is complete, but this is only 2 electrons. It is incomplete. That's why it is still higher. Are you getting it? But if you go to nitrogen again, nitrogen will have, it has 7 electrons, so 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. If you look at this 2p3, it is half filled. It is half filled, 1, 2, and 3 electrons. So nitrogen, its electron gain enthalpy, it is lower over here. Okay, so this is the plot. This is the plot for the variation of electron gain enthalpy with their respective atomic numbers. Here, elements of one period have been plotted. If you plot the other elements of other periods, again you will get a similar graphical trend. Okay. Now, moving to the next concept, next periodic property, which is called electronegativity, which is very, very important in the entire chemistry, chemical reactions, understanding of organic chemistry, reaction mechanism. This, without electronegativity concept, so many things become very, very difficult in chemistry. So it is, this plays a very important role in understanding the mechanisms of organic chemistry. Now here in this chapter, electronegativity definition, it is the measure of the ability of an atom in a chemical compound to attract electrons from another atom. Okay, that we already know. Now electronegativity tends to increase across the period. That is a fact. Because the radius decreases, the ionic size decreases, electrons get closer to the bonding atom's nucleus. So the nucleus is powerful, so it tends to attract pull electrons. Electronegativity tends to increase of a group or remains the same. As radius increases, electrons are farther from the bonding atom's nucleus. So there is a tendency of not attracting electrons down the group. Then let's get the factors quickly, clearly. Okay. The factors affecting electronegativity, again, nuclear charge, more protons, stronger attraction between nucleus and bonding pair of electrons, so its value will be high. The second one is atomic radius, closer to the nucleus, stronger attraction between nucleus and bonding pair of electrons. Third one is shielding, less number of shells, less shells of electrons between the nucleus and the electrons, less shielding. That means less repulsion. So again, stronger attraction between the nucleus and the bonding pair of electrons. So if we are having less number of shells, electronegativity is going to be higher. Okay, so these are the three factors which have been summarized over here for you all to remember and visualize. Okay, now you already know what is electronegativity. So the question is there, now answer is in your mind. The variation is on your screen. Across the period, the electronegativity increases. Down the group, the electronegativity, it is going to decrease. Okay, so this you have to remember. Okay, with the reasoning, proper reasoning, and stating the factors. Now if you look at the next slide on your screen, there is a plot of electronegativity versus atomic number. On the x-axis the atomic number has been plotted, and on the y-axis the electronegativity on Pauling scale. Now electronegativity, it is a scale, it's a Pauling scale, it is a Pauling scale. Okay, it is starting from 1.0 to 4.0. These are the electronegativity values of the different types of elements. If you see for the first period and the second period, it is not so remarkable, but if you come to the other elements over there, it is remarkable. You know, it's going up and down. This the highest ones, you know, highest ones are the elements which are towards the right hand corner of the periodic table. It could be, say, for example, fluorine, you know, fluorine. Okay, it could be fluorine. Then there is oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine. All those elements are towards the peak over here. Okay, these elements are possessing higher values of electronegativity. This graphical representation is just for illustrative purpose only. Okay, it doesn't have any importance with respect to the examination purpose. Okay, now there's a reference chart for electronegativity values which have been given on your screen, which you can see. I want you all to keep in mind at least this one. Look at this arrow over here. Electronegativity values of fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Try to get this in your mind. This also, oxygen, okay, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine. This is for comparative purpose, but try to keep them in mind. Hydrogen 2.1, okay, hydrogen 2.1, okay, keep that in mind. So these are the electronegativity values of some elements on the scale, which is called Pauling scale. Okay, now uh, the general periodic trends in metallic and non-metallic characteristics, this I will do in the next class because it's already time up. Okay, so till this electronegativity, revise please revise properly with regard to their variation and the factors affecting them. Okay, so just hang on because I'll be recording your attendance in a while. Okay, I'll be recording your attendance in a while. Okay, your attendance is recorded. Now you may leave the class. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.